Hello, welcome. What is ChatGPT-4? What is the difference between ChatGPT-4 and its previous models? In this video you will know about this. OpenAI's new GPT-4 AI model has made its big debut and is already powering everything from a virtual volunteer for the visually impaired to an improved language learning bot in multi-languages. But what sets ChatGPT apart from previous versions like ChatGPT and GPT-3.5? Here are the 5 biggest differences between these popular systems. But first, let's look what's in a name. Although ChatGPT was originally described as being GPT 3.5 and therefore a few iterations beyond GPT-3, it is not itself a version of OpenAI's large language model, but rather a chat-based interface for whatever model powers it. The ChatGPT system that exploded in popularity over the last few months was a way to interact with GPT 3.5, and now it's a way to interact with GPT-4. With that said, let's get into the differences between the chatbot you know and its newly augmented successor. Number 1. GPT-4 can see and understand images. The most noticeable change to this versatile machine learning system is that it is multimodal, meaning it can understand more than one modality of information. GPT and GPT-3 were limited to text. They could read and write, but that was about it, though more than enough for many applications. GPT-4, however, can be given images and it will process them to find relevant information. You could simply ask it to describe what's in a picture, of course, but more importantly, its understanding goes beyond that. Number 2. GPT-4 is harder to trick. For all that today's chatbots get right, they tend to be easily tricked. A little coaxing can persuade them that they are simply explaining what a bad AI would do, or some other little fiction that lets the model say all kinds of weird and frankly unnerving things. GPT-4, on the other hand, has been trained on lots and lots of malicious prompts which users helpfully gave OpenAI over the last year or two. With these in mind, the new model is much better than its predecessors on factuality, steerability, and refusing to go outside of guardrails. The way OpenAI describes it, GPT 3.5, which powered ChatGPT, was a test run of a new training architecture, and they applied the lessons from that to the new version, which was unprecedentedly stable. They also were better able to predict its capabilities, which makes for fewer surprises. Number 3. GPT-4 has a longer memory. These large language models are trained on millions of web pages, books, and other text data, but when they are actually having a conversation with a user, there's a limit to how much they can keep in mind. That limit with GPT 3.5 and the old version of Chat was 4,096 tokens. So it would sort of lose track of things after they passed that far back in its attention function. GPT-4 has a maximum token count of 32,768. If you're wondering why the number looks familiar, that translates to around 64,000 words or 50 pages of text, enough for an entire play or short story. What this means is that in conversation or in generating text, we'll be able to keep up to 50 pages or so in mind. So it will remember what you talked about 20 pages of chat back, or in writing a story or essay, it may refer to events that occurred 35 pages ago. That's a very approximate description of how the attention mechanism and token count work, but the general idea is of expanded memory and the capabilities that accompany it. That makes it more powerful. Number 4. GPT-4 is more multilingual. The AI world is dominated by English speakers at everything from data to testing to research papers are in that language. But of course, the capabilities of large language models are applicable in any written language and ought to be made available in those. GPT-4 takes a step toward doing this by demonstrating that it is able to answer thousands of multiple-choice questions with high accuracy across 26 languages, from Italian to Ukrainian to Korean. It's best at the Roman and Germanic languages, but generalizes well to others. Number 5. GPT-4 has different personalities. Steerability is an interesting concept in AI, referring to their capacity to change their behavior on demand. This can be useful, such as in taking on the role of a sympathetic listener, or dangerous, like when people convince the model that it is evil or depressed. GPT-4 integrates steerability more natively than GPT-3.5, and users will be able to change the classic chat personality with a fixed verbosity, tone, and style to something more suited to their needs. That are some differences which we find and makes the new model more interesting and stable. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more.